All right. So we started with the second rule out of 8 rules. This second rule addresses the issue of sacrilege, first of all. And this is the first thing the Shaykh goes into. He mentions the general rule that is also mentioned in the summary of obligatory knowledge. Any saying, action, or conviction having disrespect for God, his prophets, his books, his angels, his rules, his promise, his threat, the symbols of his religion, or his verses is blasphemy. Okay, we covered this. And we can see here that the blasphemy comes in the forms of sayings, actions, or convictions. This means that blasphemy is one thing, but takes different forms, as if the blasphemy is a shapeshifter, comes from the tongue sometimes, comes in the heart sometimes, comes in the actions sometimes. And the blasphemy that the Shaykh is the single blasphemy that the Shaykh has included these 3 things under is the blasphemy of istighfaf, which is translated here as sacrilege. And the title is translated as sacrilege, and in the body right here, it's translated as disrespect. Because like I told you, I like to change the words because I think it helps in comprehension. And then the Shaykh went to talk about blasphemous sayings in particular. And this is why I also said to you previously in a previous lesson that these are 8 rules. But if you look closely, it's like there are more than 8 rules here. This little small booklet requires actually good investigation, paying attention well and understanding the information in it to see how the Shaykh made his categorization. How did the Shaykh manage to categorize the blasphemy into 8 cases? Now, actually, he talked about conviction in the first rule. We talked about something that's known in the religion by necessity or not known in the religion by necessity, even if it's a case of consensus, denying that. This is from the issues of convictions in the heart. Doesn't have to be with the tongue. All of that discussion doesn't have to be with the tongue. Even if it's just in his heart, this denial or doubt about what is known in the religion by necessity goes back to the issue of the heart. And now, in this second rule, we already covered. The Shaykh zeroed in on sayings. And we're going to see one of the later rules zeroes in on actions. When the Shaykh mentions a rule, any action that's only done by a blasphemer is blasphemy when done. Any doing only done by a blasphemer is blasphemy when done. Okay, so then he went to talk about the blasphemous expressions. And we said there's 2 kinds. What seems to be blasphemy appears to be blasphemy, but is not necessarily blasphemy. And what is explicit blasphemy? And in here is a very, very, very important rule. If someone says what seems to be blasphemy, you cannot deem him as a blasphemer. Unless you know he meant the blasphemous meaning. And if someone commits explicit blasphemy, then he is deemed as a blasphemer. However, it is possible to pause. It's possible to pause. For what? To make sure he knows what he's saying. It's possible he's saying an explicit blasphemy, but he doesn't know what he's saying. When you pause to make sure this person knows what he's saying, this doesn't mean that you are doubting about if the issue is blasphemy or not. You're not doubting if the issue is blasphemy or not. You know it's blasphemy. That's why you're actually pausing. You're pausing because you know it's blasphemy. You just want to verify that this person knows what he's saying. So, in the case of statements, you have two issues: the speaker's intention and the speaker's comprehension. The speaker's intention and the speaker's comprehension. It's very important to know when you look for which one of those. When are you going to look for the speaker's intention? And when are you going to look for the speaker's comprehension? Because those are not the same. And you must not mix this here. So it is important to understand it vitally. You seek the speaker's intention when what he said seems to be blasphemy. So you're going to say, what do you mean? If you want to seek it, you don't have to. And you're going to seek his comprehension when he said what can only mean blasphemy. And you want to be sure he knows what he's saying. So then you say to him, do you know what this word means? So not what do you mean? Do you know what this word means? So you seek his comprehension. If it turns out that he knows the blasphemous meaning of what he is saying, but he dared to say it anyway, then he blasphemed. Okay. So that's what we covered so far. Any question before we proceed? These titles are very useful, these subtitles here. So they enable me to review, to give synopsis. And so the author says, may Allah have mercy upon him. Rahimahullah ta'ala. And the subtitle here is Pseudo Sufis. Pseudo means fake, inauthentic. And the P is silent, so you don't say the P. You just say the S. Pseudo Sufis. So you can take note of that spelling there. I need to, because I'm not a good speller. P-S-E-U. Where'd the P come from? Where'd the E come from? That's how English language is. The author says, those types of people are the irreligious Sufi grifters. Min malahidati al-mutasawwifa. What type of people? The type of people who say explicit blasphemy and then reinterpret it deliberately. They say explicit blasphemy and then they deliberately reinterpret it because they're not sincere in what they are doing and what they are saying. The irreligious, malahida. A lot of times they use the word, so the word malahida, that's the plural of mulhid. Mulhid, a lot of times they use that word for atheist. The atheistic Sufis. Al-mutasawwifa, those who display tasawwuf. They are perpetrators, yani, pretenders. That's why it has here grifter. Grifter, as if that's a recent word though. It's like someone who's not really true to the cause, not really true to the mission. Like he affiliates himself with a political party, with one party or another party, but he's not really believing in those things. Rather, he wants money. And he says what he says because he has an audience to attend to, not because he really believes it. That's what's meant by grifter here. So these ones are really slimy, these Sufi grifters. Al-Muntasibina, those who are affiliated with Islam. What does affiliated with Islam mean? It means not, here it means not really Muslim, but not attributed to another religion. They're not attributed to Christianity or Judaism or Buddhism or another religion. So they are affiliated with Islam. They say all sorts of bad things, things that are explicit blasphemy, and then reinterpret those. Excuse me. The Shaykh says these expressions reached them by way of Greek philosophers. Then these expressions came forth from them and were heard by commoners without the commoners knowing their true meanings. What words are we talking about? Just to back up here and remind you, the Shaykh is talking about such statements as that they said, "Ma fil wujudi illallah." Nothing exists but God. So this is truly a statement of pantheism. Uh, this is a statement of pantheism, but some laymen would hear this statement and not know what it really means. And when those Sufi grifters say these statements, they mean blasphemous meaning. But laymen would hear these statements and not know what they really mean. And then they would repeat them, not understanding what they really mean. So that some layman would take this statement, La mawjuda illallah, nothing exists but God, and he would say it, and he would think it means God has power over everything. It's not what it means. So take a lesson there. The Shaykh says, then about a century ago, words of pantheism appeared from some Yashrutli people affiliated with a Sufi order called the Shadhilis. Ash-Shadhiliya al-Yashrutliya, yani they are a branch of the Shadhili, of the Shadhilis. They believed in their true meanings, that which is blasphemy. They were saying those statements, understanding what they really mean, and meaning what they really mean, intending what they really mean, and saying that they are Sufis and inviting people to their way. They sometimes say that Allah dwells within every person, and sometimes they say Allah and the people are unified. That's two different creeds, but they're close. The difference between these two is that when someone believes in hulul, dwelling, I'm not sure if there's another name for this, a more proper name, then he believes in two selves. The self of God that he believes is in the self of the creature. And when someone believes in pantheism, then he believes in oneself, which is that God and the creation are one and the same in his conviction. Likewise, if someone, due to his ignorance of the linguistic meaning, thought that a word explicit in blasphemy can be taken two ways, So for him, his understanding of the word is that it has two meanings. In reality, it only has one meaning. He understands, not that he intends, he understands that it has two meanings. A blasphemous way and another way. Let me give you an example. What is the meaning of the word in English? The word create. Now it is very famous that the people use the word create to mean make or manufacture or produce. Does it really, really mean that? Does it originally mean bringing something from non-existence into existence, but then spread amongst the people in a way that it doesn't really mean, so that the people began to understand from it what it doesn't really mean? Is that its case? Or what about the word adore in English? The word adore, it does for sure originally mean worship, but now the people use it to mean, need to love a lot. So is that valid, that it means to love a lot and the people are using it this way? Or it's wrong to use it that way in reality and it only has one meaning of worship? You said, yeah, they push this with YouTubers, content makers. Yeah, they call them content creators. And different people, they say all kinds of anything. They say this creates such and such. Our brothers and sisters usually reserve the word create, though, for Allah. And we use an alternative word for someone else or something else, like make or produce or manufacture or manipulate or something else. I'll give you another example. What about the word holiday? Does it mean holy day? Holy? And if so, that means religiously sanctified? And if so, then could you use it for Christmas and Easter and other days of blasphemy? Call it a holiday? Or even just a vacation day? You call it a holiday? Now, I didn't used to personally. For just mere vacation day, I didn't used to understand that holiday is a vacation day. But I know for sure people use the word holiday to mean a vacation day, just a day off. Say it's a holiday. For them means day off. Does it really mean day off? I don't think it does. Merely this. Now, I posed all of that as a question. Does it really mean like this? Although the people use it like that? This requires some research and verification. But I just brought those as examples to make you understand this point even more. The Shaykh says here, if someone, due to his ignorance of the linguistic meaning, thought that a word that's explicit in blasphemy can be taken two ways, a blasphemous way and another way, like he thought you could say, that one could say to his wife, for example, I worship you, or to some woman that he's in love with, that he could say, I worship you, or that she could say to a man, I worship you, and that it means I love you a lot. It does not mean that. This one I'm confident in here doesn't really mean that. So the Shaykh taught us, the one who says such a statement while he knows what worship really means, he's going to blaspheme. But if he thinks it means love strongly, he thinks this is really one of its meanings, then he does not blaspheme. So he thought that this explicit word can be taken in two ways, a blasphemous way and another way, and then he said it meaning the non-blasphemous meaning that he thinks it has. Then he does not blaspheme. That is contrary to anyone who knows that the word is explicit according to how it was put forth in the language. The one who knows. What if someone really has an expert knowledge? Just what I'm going to say here is for argument's sake, and he knows for argument's sake that the word holiday means holy day, a religiously holy day. And he knows, just for argument's sake here, that the word adore means worship. And for argument's sake, he knows the word create means to bring from non-existence into existence. When I say for argument's sake, means let's say that is the case, just for the point. So he knows that it means this meaning, and then he uses it for another meaning. Then, so the Shaykh says, that is contrary to anyone who knows that the word is explicit, meaning he knows what it really means, according to how it was put forth in the language. But he manufactures a meaning for it. Yani he makes up a meaning for it. He assigns a meaning to it that's not really what it means in his claim. Then he says that word without believing in the original meaning. Without believing in the original meaning. Though he comprehends the original meaning, he would blaspheme. Shaykh gave us, rahimahullah, another example. In As-Siratul Mustaqim, what if someone said, damn the messenger of Allah? What do you say to him? Do you say, what do you mean? No, say to him, that's blasphemy. So if he says, yeah, I know what you mean, but I didn't mean Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I meant the lightning bolt. Or I meant the scorpion bug. So what do you say to him? You say to him, this is blasphemy. But you said it's still blasphemy because messenger of Allah does not mean lightning bolt. And it does not mean scorpion. That's how you're not going to let somebody play games with you, play word games with you. Here the Shaykh gives these examples. He said, I never put the holiday one until you mentioned. Yeah. And some people don't believe that holiday means holy day. I talked to one sister. I told her, I don't say holiday. Yeah, and it sometimes comes out my mouth, though. Sometimes it just rolls right off my tongue. But whenever I'm conscious, then I avoid it. And I'll say festive day or something like that. I told her, I don't say holiday because it means such and such. She says, no, she said, it does not mean that. She said explicitly. She said, no, it does not mean that. So that's what she said. So if it does mean what I said, she doesn't believe that it does. I didn't used to know the word adore means worship. I had no idea until I was a grown man. And I talked to a so-called Hebrew Israelite. And he said to me, would you say that you adore such and such? I don't know what he said, your mother or something. Whatever he said to me. So I said, sure. She said, so you worship that one? I said, what are you talking about? He said, adore means worship. I didn't know. So I looked and turns out he's right. But here's the thing, he knew. He knows that people don't know that. What's the point of making this argument? Because he's amongst the people who misguide the creatures. He's a misguider, a misleader. So here the Shaykh gave some examples in this booklet. He said that would be like the saying of some fools. Or we could say, that would be like what some fools say. What do they say? They say, oh, sister of God. Or they say to each other, oh, son of God. They are blaspheming, although they are not intending the original meaning. And some of them, they say in slang language, Ya ibn Allah, without the hat. When they say, yani without the hat, and when they say Allah, they don't say Allah. When they say Allah or Allah without a hat, they mean Allah. They understand. They understand from it Allah. Because to them, if you say Allah or Allah, it's the same. Or if, according to some of them, Allah. And some people would say Allah. So for anyone who pronounced an explicit expression of apostasy, we look into his case. Does he understand the meaning? So when we say we look into his case, that's like saying we have room to pause. We don't have to rush. Does he understand the meaning, or is he ignorant of the true meaning and he thinks this word means something else? If he is ignorant about it, then we will not deem him as a disbeliever. Rather, we will teach him the real meaning of what he is saying and forbid him from it. And even if someone said something explicit, but he forgot that it means blasphemy, so now he thinks it means something else after he knew it meant explicit blasphemy. And when he pronounces it, he was not understanding anything but a non-blasphemous meaning. Then he does not blaspheme. It is known from this that it is not good to rush and say that a person is a disbeliever for pronouncing something that is not explicit in blasphemy. It only seems to be blasphemy. To rush and to deem him as a kafir before knowing what he meant. It's not good. And even if he said explicit blasphemy, you still don't have to rush. Sometimes you want to just investigate. Other times it's going to be clear for you. You can say this person is a kafir. Wallahu a'lam. Allah knows best. Any question? Yes. You said, so does this mean we should avoid the word holiday? Well, if you want to research that and verify what it means originally, and then go like that, or if you just want to be cautious, you could avoid it. Yani, I am not 100% sure holiday only means holy day, but that's what it seems to mean to me. So I don't use it for something other than Eid or Jumu'ah, or I would say their, their holiday, meaning according to them. That's their holiday. That's their, according to them. But I try to avoid just calling a non-Islamic day a holiday. But sometimes still slips from me out of habit. But using holiday to mean vacation is never a habit for me. It doesn't mean vacation to me in how I understand English. And how Allah made me grow up using it and hearing it. But I know people use it. For me, what I always understood from holiday is it's a religious day. So I would have, before learning religion, Islam, I would have used the word holiday for any religion, any special religious day according to any religion. Yani, I understood from the word holiday that it's a generic name for a special religious day. Any other question?